the Auburn Blitz Podcast, your direct source for all Auburn all the time with Brett Pritchard, Faith Richardson, and Randy Lee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Blitz Podcast here on a Wednesday morning. We are glad that you have joined us wherever and whenever it is that you join us on the Auburn Blitz and making Auburn Blitz part of your daily Auburn athletic intake. It's National Signing Day. Auburn retains DJ Durkin. Always a full slate here on the Auburn Blitz. Good morning. How you doing, Randy?
Well, I'm great. You know, when you bring up National Signing Day, I think back to about a decade ago that this was like a national holiday, Brett. I mean, we used to sit around and watch and get all kinds of build up for what was to come today and who's going to change their decision at the last second. And you know, I always bring this one up, but it's the one for us Auburn fans that we point back to go, you never know what's going to happen on signing day, and that was TJ Yeldon. We had just called an Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game. And our in-house Bammer, Luke Robinson, had just interviewed him. And if you remember, Yeldon was committed to Auburn and had been committed to Auburn for a long time. And Luke, being the Bammer he is, went down on the field with us up in the booth, interviewed him. And he said that he was sticking with Auburn. Then 2 or 3 days later, he's signing with Alabama. So you never knew what was coming, Brett. And I'll be honest, I miss it. You know, now that it's gone, it's nowhere near as much fun as it once was. And I know that it's become more of a business, and where Auburn sits as a program, it's probably best that you've got a chance to spend some money and try to cure this thing in quick time, whereas it used to be a little bit more difficult to build a product back on the field that you can a lot quicker now. But count me as one that enjoyed those big-time signing days for the kids and how much fun and how important it seemed to be to everybody.
It's like everything else got ruined.
It did.
I mean, to be honest with you, it's the world we live in. And now it's all shifted to the early signing period. You still have February 4th, you know, which used to be the only signing period. But so far for Auburn this morning, 3 letters of intent have come in as we go live right now. That'll change as the day moves forward. Jaquez Wilkes from Wadley was expected and stuck with Auburn. Wayne Henry from St. Francis Academy in Maryland. That pipeline continues to come along pretty nicely. And then Auburn gets a flip from Mikael Lundy Foster, an offensive lineman that was committed to South Florida. He's from Tallahassee, 3-star offensive lineman's a big guy, 6'3", 320 pounds. So big kid. You know, others, Jace Matthews, not going to sign today. Said he's going to push that off to Friday. See how that happens. I think Shadarius Tootle, obviously, and his brother will sign. Wilson Zaire. Deshaun Spencer flip yesterday. We reported that too, from Duke to Auburn. The Saraland wide receiver that we saw this past Friday, very good player. And then a few others, you know, that we'll go through. But, you know, there's the ones to watch. There's several that you're going to watch today. And how many can Auburn salvage? Obviously, not a good ranking right now. Ranked last in the SEC, ranked 93rd overall in the country, but the least amount of recruits of any team because of the way things have kind of played out. Now, the kind of the drama this morning is Braylon Womack, who flipped 2 days ago to Mississippi State, possibly going to flip back to Auburn today on signing day. I mean, that's a big get if you can get him back. And I think a lot of that had to do with DJ Durkin staying and then maybe TJ Rushing staying as well, who were his 2 primary guys. So that one will be one to watch. You know, Chris and Corey Wells are both committed other places. They're brothers. Corey committed to Texas. Chris committed to South Alabama. They're expected to flip to Auburn. We'll see if that plays out. And there's several more. I mean, I'm not going to spend the whole time just going over all these guys. But that's pretty much the storylines as we get going this morning.
Well, it's a new day and age in college football. I guess that's where I'll start. It's been proven that you don't have to finish in the top 5 in recruiting rankings to put a quality product out there on the field that is way better than the teams that you play against that always seem to have better recruiting rankings than you do. Indiana's proved that, and keep going down the list of teams that are proving during this NIL era that you can go out there and piecemeal a team together that's not necessarily high school recruits, Brett. And I don't like it. But doesn't matter what I like. Doesn't matter what you like. It's the day and age we live in. We'll see the philosophy of the new coaching staff when it comes to recruiting the high school ranks. You and I said this, I guess, 3 years ago when Hugh Freeze was hired. It's going to be a fun watch to see which philosophy works best, because Lane Kiffin at the time was not leaning in as heavily on the high school side, and Hugh Freeze was. Well, it's pretty clear who won out on that. Now, it may not necessarily only be off of the players that they got in the transfer portal. It could be a lot more of the coaching and development, the further removed that we get, Brett. But I don't think you can deny that Lane Kiffin's philosophy so far has worked out better than what we got with Hugh Freeze. Now, I'm glad to have some of the pieces that we've got from the high school ranks during that time. But an awful lot of them haven't done too much. So, a different day and age. Do I enjoy sitting here as an Auburn fan as deep down the list in recruiting as we are right now? No. Am I surprised? No. I'm not surprised at all. It's crazy.
The major difference in that philosophy that you just said is that one could coach and one couldn't, obviously.
Well, I said that, it could be more of that than the other.
Yeah.
But even with that being
Auburn
said,
has players.
What Ole Miss did this year, going out in the transfer portal and getting the quarterback, and the quarterback being a good fit, and not necessarily being the main guy that was in the portal like Mateer was. Getting a guy that you've got to go in and decide from a lower classification that they're the good fit for you. That's the difference right now. I mean, Auburn goes out and gets who many regarded as one of the top high school quarterbacks 2 years ago. Didn't have a lot of success at Oklahoma. Auburn picks him up, thinks that we can change the trajectory of his career, and it didn't work out. So there's a lot of different ways to spin this, but I guess the most important thing is you get some pieces that can help. A couple of them that I've seen, you and I saw Deshaun Spencer up close and personal. I had that one a couple of days ago. I felt real good about where he was going to end up a few days ago. You and I discussed that. How explosive is he? Very. If you like what Malcolm Simmons brings to the table, you're going to like what Deshaun Spencer brings to the table. If you get man coverage on him, we saw it this past Friday night. You get man coverage on him, they're going to pick their spots, and more times than not, he's going to beat you in that man coverage. I don't care if it's a Ryan Davis type pass, just a swing pass out where he's got space and he's making plays, or you and I saw him outrun one of the best athletes that we have in our area on a little wheel route this past Friday night where he just beat him to the corner of the end zone, and you couldn't throw it any better than Jameson Roberts did on that pass. So I'm impressed with Deshaun Spencer, Brett. I think it's a great pickup for us late in the process. He brings extreme athleticism, and he comes from one of the best programs in the state.
Yeah, no doubt. I think definitely a good addition. Flip from Duke to Auburn. So again, gonna try to, and I'm just gonna say this, like I said the other day after we got done with the press conference. That's what Faith and I were talking about in our video. That didn't seem like this signing. I mean, with the amount of time and the high school side of this, going to try to do the best you can right now, and then roster retention is most important because Auburn's got a good roster, and they'll figure it out the rest of the way. But from a quarterback situation, Byron Brown, if he comes from South Florida, who he's obviously played extremely well, 3,000 plus yards passing, 1,000 yards rushing. Almost did that the year before. And, it's going to be a situation where you want to keep Deuce Knight in that room as well. Ashton Daniels is staying. So, again, you'll look at it from there's only one football and only one guy can start. And how are you gonna go about that? And there is a connection and a relationship built already with Brown and Rush and Golish. So you would think that there would be an edge, but I think obviously Deuce Knight is obviously one of the better pieces in this whole roster that you want to keep. So there'll be some decisions to make there, and I think he's priority to keep, along with Cam Coleman, along with Malcolm Simmons. I've said that a million times over the last few days. So everything can't be top priority. When you're drinking out of a fire hose like this coaching staff is, and he's still trying to compile who all that is. All that is not even finalized yet. But there's other programs going through the same thing within this conference, several of them. You look at Penn State out of this conference, they're on track to sign nobody today. How about that? That's the day and age we're in. They will not sign a single person. And then they're going to have to scramble to go and figure out how they're going to fill. I mean, they're way down the list. I think they're like maybe next to last overall in the country as far as a recruiting class, as far as that's what you're dealing with, because James Franklin flipped 7 or 8 of them to come to Virginia Tech, and that's where you see this thing really kind of settle now, is relationships with coaches and the level of comfort with certain people. So it's not really about the school anymore. I mean, back in the day, it was, hey, I want to go play for Auburn. I want to go play for Alabama. I want to go play for Georgia. That still exists a little bit. But it's when you see these coaches up and leave, these players fall into, look at all these commitments. And I'm not saying all of them are going to come with Golish from South Florida. Don't want all of them. But the ones that are key, they're going to be like, I'm going to go with that guy. We see it in high school football too. Coaches move. And everybody goes, well, they're recruiting and all. No, not really. Not really. It's their choice. It's the family's choice. They're doing it because that guy has a system and has a program that they want to be part of. And that's just the harsh reality of it.
Great point. And part of what you bring up there is probably the most important part of the last couple of days, and that's Auburn's retention of DJ Durkin, Brett. We hoped that it would happen, but you don't know. And the more that you heard on the back end, if you've got a coach that is highly sought after, that's a good thing, isn't it, Brett?
Yes.
And I did sense on the back end that DJ Durkin was highly sought after, not necessarily only to be a defensive coordinator at some of the bigger programs in the country. I'd heard LSU's name come up. I mean, we had heard about Ohio State this past year. I mean, there were a lot of programs that had been interested in DJ Durkin, and why wouldn't you be?
Right.
I mean, he's put a great product on the field under some very difficult circumstances with Auburn under Hugh Freeze. And he has always been known as one of the top recruiters in the country. And so he's a perfect fit for anybody that can get him. But also had heard, that there were some colleges that were looking to possibly bring him on board as the head coach too, Brett. So he had a lot to weigh. And for us to win that battle and keep him retained is going to be really big for Auburn. I believe that. I think he's a good fit for our university. I like what he stands for. People go back to the negative that he brought in with Maryland, but only thing I can go off of is what he's done since then, Brett. And what he's done since then is put great defensive teams out there on the field and does it the right way, and the players seem to love him. So a major keep for Auburn, and it'll probably help out in recruiting. Maybe not necessarily today, but it's going to, and I hope it does help us out today with retaining the key piece back at safety that we thought we could add to this class. But more than that, I think moving forward, it's going to help us pick up some more.
Yeah, let's slide over a few comments coming in. Tubb said new recruiting specialist is Harden Harper, who is the cousin of Roman. Harper played at Carver. Wish we could find a way to get Al Pogue back on staff. I like Coach Pogue. I don't know. DS, we'll keep you posted on recruiting today throughout. We'll have more probably at lunch. We'll be on location today at JR's. Faith and I will be there before we heading up to Birmingham. So we got a ridiculously busy day ahead of us. So just as we get started this morning, a few letters of intent have been signed. We'll go back through the list. If anything changes, we'll let anybody know. You can follow us all day, and we'll keep you posted there. Let's get to some of our partners here on the program. Again, we couldn't do it without them. Sensagreen, for air that is cool and clean, call on Sensagreen. They are the carrier experts here in the state of Alabama, saving you thousands of dollars on new installations, and again, saving you thousands over time on your power bill when you get a new energy-efficient carrier unit. So make sure you call on Sensagreen. They will take care of all your heating and air needs. Scout Program Management, a full construction management firm located in Birmingham, serving the Southeast, multiple projects going on. Watch those guys work. They're the best in the business. That's why you hire a program management company to take you from the pre-construction phase to the finished product. When you're dealing with hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars, you better hire an expert. You better have somebody in there that knows what the heck they're doing, or you're going to get screwed, bottom line. And you need to check out Scout Program Management. They're the best in the business. Bunkers in downtown Auburn, one of our most fun places to go. We go there frequently. Great music, great food. The fun's awesome. The live music's awesome. The new renovation part's awesome. 50 parking spots are awesome. How many times can I say awesome in an ad? So why aren't you going to Bunkers? If you hadn't been to Bunkers, and I know a lot of you do go to Bunkers, it is one of the best places to go in Auburn. Go check them out. And the Cart Source on Highway 280, just as you get into Davil, Alabama, they got it all. Easy Go, Cushman, Yamaha Club Carts. Not too late to get a great Christmas present for somebody, and they customize them. If they don't have on the lot what you want, they can go find it for you, and they can order it for you. So make sure you go check out Alabama's premier golf cart superstore, the Cart Source. Tell Harrison we sent you. Give him a call, 334-231-2205. All right. Philip said people concerned about recruiting players with 4 or 5 stars. Pavi is obviously a really good quarterback, 2-star out of high school. More and more it's about players finding fits. Yes, you want highly talented players. I don't think that'll ever change, Philip. I think you're going to go out and get the best possible rated players you can. And then you're going to have guys like that pop up from time to time. So there's a reason they rate them the way they rate them. And you got to go out and get superb athletes if you want to compete at the highest level. You can't. History just shows, and just over the course of anything, if you take a bunch of 2 and 3s against a bunch of 4 and 5s, most of the time that ain't gonna work out. It's just not.
Well, it hasn't for Auburn because development hasn't been good enough to get it to work out. So yeah, it sounds great, but until we get a consistent coaching staff in there that has proven that he can take some of those marginal athletes and turn them into great ones, I've got my questions. I always thought that Coach Tuberville did a tremendous job, especially on the defensive side, of taking the Spencer Johnson type players, Brett, and maybe coming in even at a different position. And the next thing you know, they're playing in the NFL for 8 or 10 years. And that's development. And
Right.
that's seeing the potential in someone maybe that others don't. So I'm with you. I'd much rather go out there and get the Sedarian Morgans of the world that you and I see every Friday night, where you go, look, all I've got to do is do my job, develop that kid, and the talent explodes off the field at you. And see if I can develop those rather than try to take the 2 and 3 stars and create something out of them. Both work, but I'll take the Julio Jones of the world rather than someone that's a 2-star that's a problem.
Oh, no, without a doubt. Yeah, no doubt at all. All right, so DJ Durkin staying is huge for a lot of different reasons. When you look at him and the continuity that he keeps, and with a lot of these guys, there's poachers out there for everybody. Everybody's got to protect their right. Everybody. It doesn't matter if you're you're 11-1 right now and going to the college football playoff or whatever. The way you look at it is you got to protect your roster first now. And, when you're trying to keep things as consistent during a coaching change as possible, keeping and everybody likes DJ, like an overwhelmingly large amount of Auburn fans love DJ Durkin, and they should. I think maybe he was a little disappointed Sunday that he didn't get the job, but you saw the two quotes from Alex Golish and DJ Durkin. They've moved on past that. He wants to be here. That was the common theme that we kept telling everybody, is that he wanted to be here in some form or fashion, whether it be the head coach or if he's able to stay as D coordinator. And that's what ended up happening. So I think Auburn people need to be excited that, Alex Golish comes in with this fiery attitude that he's got and wanting to, like he said, we're in a race against time, against ourselves, not against anybody else. He wants to win now. He didn't make any type of disclaimer, give us 2 years, we got to rebuild, we're just getting here, all this junk. He wants to win now, and it starts with roster retention. And if you retain these guys, these priority players, the Xavier Atkins of the world, the Cam Colemans of the world, the Deuce Knights, the Malcolm Simmons, who absolutely should be listed in the top echelon now of players. Not that we didn't know that already, but for him to have 332 yards receiving in the last 2 games, like, you compare to some people's full year don't have 332 yards, and he only really has come on the scene since the Vanderbilt game, since Hugh Freeze left. And I'm going to talk about Hugh Freeze here in just a minute on a podcast that he was on with David Pollock yesterday. And so, but going back and looking at the explosion of Malcolm Simmons, the best player on the team that's able to make a 5-yard dig route a 50-yard touchdown. Like, Cam Coleman's great. And Cam Coleman's going to run down the field, down the sideline, and out-jump somebody and make a one-handed catch. And, he'll catch a pass over the middle. But Malcolm Simmons has the ability to take a 3-yard screen and turn it into a 70-yard touchdown. And you and I've seen it forever. And it is wild that it took Hugh Freeze leaving, who said he's pissed off, by the way, yesterday on that podcast, him leaving. And then Malcolm Simmons right out of the gate against Vanderbilt takes a screen almost to the house. And then he comes back and plays Mercer and has a career day. And Deuce Knights, obviously his favorite target. And then what he did against Alabama, could have had 3 touchdowns in that game, possibly. I mean, just a waste, man. Just a complete waste.
Well, even in that game, only 5 targets. I think you go back and you point to who needed to touch the ball more in that game. 4 needed the ball more. But, hey, tip your hat to Derek Nix for getting him involved so everyone else can see it. I felt like you and I, we've had these moments as Auburn fans, and we've been doing this a long time, Brett, and we call high school ball, so we see these athletes. And, it's frustrating when you see potential, and then they end up at Auburn, and you're like, what happened?
Right.
Why did that not come to fruition? And I was really worried with Malcolm that we were going to end up in the same boat, because for me, and Deuce Knight said this past week, I don't know if you saw his interview, but Malcolm Simmons, yes, he goes by the freak, but he is the best athlete that Deuce said. He's the best athlete I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
He's the best athlete you and I have ever seen. I watch Sedarian every Friday night. He's not Malcolm. Malcolm's not normal. Malcolm, here's how good of an athlete, and I'm going to say this one more time. Here's how good an athlete Malcolm Simmons is. He goes to a high school at Benjamin Russell that never really has a track coach. Is that fair to say, Brett?
No, that's correct.
I mean, whoever is a coach, now we get good coaches to go over there and be willing to do it, but they're not track guys. There's nobody that knows the exact way to do the high jump and the long jump, and they're teaching it and they're training it 12 months out of the year, and they're doing all the things that it takes to create.
Maximize, right?
That's not who we are, nor have we ever been that. I hope we are at some point, but right now we're not. Here's how good an athlete Malcolm is. Well, he plays basketball, and hell, he just picks up and just goes to wherever the track meet is, I guess in his basketball shoes. And he goes out there and he breaks the high jump record for the state. No, actually, he missed the high jump record for the state by a quarter of an inch.
Right.
And he clipped going over the bar to break the record on his final jump his senior year, correct?
Correct.
And then he breaks Orlando Waters' long jump record that had been held since like 1990 from Anniston High School, if you remember what kind of athlete he was.
Yeah, no doubt.
Goes out there and breaks the state record on the long jump. And this is just straight athleticism. But I was really worried, Brett, that athleticism was never going to get a chance to show itself at Auburn to the extent that we are now. So I'm 1,000% with you. Sometimes we get caught up in these players that were big time recruiting gets, and we forget some of these other kids that have proven themselves on the field up to the level that some of those we expected to be better haven't. You know, let's go to linebacker. You just brought it up. I'm going to go linebacker. I love DeMarcus Riddick. I hope he becomes an All-American. He ain't playing. He's not beating Atkins out. He's not beating Melendez out. He's not getting the snaps that these guys are. Was he a massive get? Oh, gosh, he was one of the biggest gets we've had in the last 2 or 3 years. Does it mean he's not going to end up an All-American? No, I hope he does. But my point is we get so caught up in these long, drawn-out recruiting games that we forget to go, I can't lose him because he's an Auburn guy. He's proven himself. And so keep saying it, Brett. I may not be on this show with you every day, but keep yelling it from the top of the mountain. You know, the Malcolms that don't get the credit that the Cam Colemans do may need to get the credit.
Yeah,
you may need to start looking at it and saying that's one that we can't lose.
Well, and Gates said, why waste your time talking about past coaches? It's not I'm talking about past coaches. I'm just bringing up what he said in relevance to what we are right now. Okay? So let me get that out there for everybody. You know, a man is bitter and pissed that he got fired, and he continues to use the word we were close. You know, close to what? Another loss? Because that's what we were. It's that mentality. It's what I was saying about bringing in Alex Golish. And I said this 2 months ago. We need a personality and an attitude change in that building. Amen. And I'm not saying when you say go in and clean house, you don't just go. Sometimes you need to sweep everything out the door, but there's plenty of great pieces in that building that you want to retain. Malcolm Simmons being one of them. Cam Coleman. I can go back down the list. But that to me is recognized, and I thought that's what DJ Durkin did that was so good. And I know he went 1 and 2 as an interim coach, but at the end of the day, he said in the Vanderbilt postgame, he said, "Hey, the plan all along was to get the ball to our best players. You know, it's not hard. You know, make it overcomplicated sometimes." Everybody was just tired of that old BS narrative. You know, I sat through it. Faith and I sat through those press conferences every Saturday afternoon. Tired of it, man. Tired of hearing the same crap. Tired of the near miss, and tired of figuring out a way to lose another game. And so that's the hope for the future, is that you got better vision. You got somebody that recognizes the talent they have, and they're able to utilize it. So,
update on Brown, Brett. You know, with Auburn from South Florida. I mean, you talked about it a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I mean, nothing yet.
Point to that's a good chance.
Yeah, I mean, him getting in the portal and ended up with Alex Golish again. I mean, this kid is tremendous. I mean, he's one of 12 guys in NCAA history to throw for 3,000 and run for 1,000. He almost did it twice. He had 800 yards rushing one year, had over 3,000 passing. So yeah, I think that's going to be a big get if it does come to fruition. So he's got to get in the portal and do all that kind of stuff. So yeah, looking forward to kind of watching the rest of the day and seeing how this thing plays out. But biggest news, obviously, Durkin staying, TJ Russian more than likely staying. Vontrell King Adams is staying. Williams, is staying. I mean, those guys are the ones that, to me, help solidify. Here comes my phone. My fault, everybody. Let me cut it off. Yeah, that to me was the integral part of this. Let's not worry about who gets signed today. You're going to get several guys that have stayed committed, and you're going to have to go to work and pick up some guys in the portal, and then you got some time to work some things for some existing guys that'll stay around until the February 4th time. So they're going to do the best they can. To me, it's not, in their mind, the top priority because they've only been here for 48 hours. So you're just trying to figure out how to get all that played out. So before we get off, a couple more of our partners here on the show, and we appreciate them so much. Oliver Ross, a full licensed, trained bartending service that will come to your place for your party or your convention or whatever it is. It doesn't matter how many people, and they will handle everything. They will bring it all. They will serve it all. They will clean it up and leave. You don't have to worry about it. All you have to do is pay them, and that's why you pay them. Oliver Ross, for your next party, convention, gathering, check them out on Instagram and Facebook. Russell Medical Center, one of the top 3 hospitals in the state of Alabama. They are part of the UAB Healthcare Network, and really, you don't need to say anything beyond that because UAB Health is one of the best healthcare networks in the entire world. And Russell Medical Center in Alexander City, they've got great facilities, great doctors. You don't have to fight all this traffic in Atlanta and all these big cities. You got all the healthcare you need, and if they don't have it there in that facility, they'll get you to the right place. So check out Russell Medical Center, voted one of the top 3 hospitals in the state of Alabama. And again, always looking out for your healthcare needs. Who's going to be the go-to recruiter? Cody Burns. Could it be him? We'll see. We'll see how it all plays out when the staff finally comes all the way around and everything is finalized. So, Cody Burns is going to be a great recruiter. He always has been. And so it's good to have another Auburn guy back on the staff. I had somebody ask me a question about Marcus Davis. I think Marcus Davis is going to have the opportunity to stay. Will he stay? We'll see. Let's see. I'm just reading some of these comments before we get off, guys.
One of them's just about culture change needed.
Yeah.
And, I do think you'll get that. I don't.
Yeah, you will.
At least that's what you're buying into. I had someone ask me yesterday what I think about the press conference, and, I appreciate it. I like that he's direct. I like what he says, but Brett and I have heard this dog and pony show so often, not only in the college ranks, but in the high school ranks. These coaches are professionals at getting to a mic now and speaking culture and speaking process. And, Nick Saban made that kind of the MO. If you're unable to get up there and talk about a process and a process-oriented strategic plan, and, the question is which guys can come in there from a leadership role and actually implement what they're talking about. And do I know whether this coach is going to be able to do it? No, and Brett doesn't either. And those of you that are tuning in don't. But you've got to pick. You've got to trust the athletic director to make the right hire. And if he doesn't make the right hire, Brett, then he'll be gone, and the coach will be gone, and we'll be searching again. But I appreciate the way John Cohen went about his work. I think he put all of the responsibility on himself. Did he have others to help, like Quentin Riggins and others, Brett? Of course he did. But at the end of the day, he's saying, look, I made this hire, and I was going to make the hire, and we're going to live and die by who we got there. So what were your final thoughts on the press conference? Was that your takeaway, Brett?
Ready to go to work.
Yeah.
Kind of that mood of, hey, I'm up here having to do this for y'all because that's what you got to do. But the longer I stand up here and talk to y'all, the more time is wasted of things we got to get done. He's not a politician. He's a football coach, and he's very blunt. He's probably going to cuss a little bit more than the last few coaches that we've had. That doesn't make him a better coach. That doesn't make him a worse coach. That's just his personality. That's all I'm saying. And so I think he's passionate. I think he's very appreciative and grateful for an opportunity to show that he can take the next step and coach in this league. He's coached in this league as an assistant. He's had a very good product that he's been responsible for on the offensive side. I don't think if he comes here and his offense tanks, I just quit. Like it's just kind of like, and everybody laughs and stuff. You're like, well, we've had plenty of other good offense coordinators, but seriously, he every single place he's ever been, his offense is like ranked in the top 5. So I'm not saying he's going to get Auburn to the top 5 next year, but if you keep the right pieces, get the right quarterback in here, should be able to score points. Should score a lot more than 10 or 15, or 10 or 17. Or 3 against Kentucky.
The Kentucky one will always be
that may be one of the worst losses in Auburn history. I hate to be that way, but as I sat on the sideline and watched that game, I was in amazement at how terrible that was, and just had become numb. And that had become numb. Like Faith looked at me one time. She said, "What is this even? Like what are we doing?" Offensive. Can you tell me what I'm like? Nobody in this building can tell you what we're doing, because Ashton Daniels went from leading a comeback at Arkansas to going into looking like he never played football the next week. And then he comes back and goes to Vanderbilt and just torches everybody and almost comes up with a win. It was just so bad. I'm just so glad that's over. And so let's just move forward and we'll see how things play out. That's going to wrap us up here this morning. I got a lot to do. We got a lot to do before we get to Birmingham today. But reminder to tune us in this week. We'll be with the HSA Radio Network, bringing all of the Super 7 state championship games to you. The 7A game is up tonight. So Thompson, Opelika, I know a lot of people in the Opelika, Auburn area will be up there watching that game. It's going to be cold, but the weather should be good. And then on Thursday and Friday, it looks like the weather's not going to be so good. So hate that. Maybe the weather guy will miss that. Maybe we'll catch a break. I hate to say it. I don't think he is, though. It's like there's going to be a lot of rain coming in. So if you're coming to Birmingham, make sure you bring your rain gear and you stay as dry and warm as you possibly can. So, but again, we'll be back on with you in about 3 hours, I guess, at JR Sports Bar and Grill. Faith and I will be there live from JR's. We'll give you more updates on the recruiting trail, on the signing, National Signing Day, all that good stuff. Any other news that breaks, we'll have it for you there as well. Randy, good to see you again this morning. I'll see you a little bit later on, and hope everybody has the best day ever. Do something good for people. Be nice to people out there, and we'll see you at lunch for more Auburn Blitz.